Alright. Right. So we just listened to the parents have a big argument, and then we're following the kids down to the beach. So on the 10th twilight, oh, they're already talking about the, what is it called? The thing on the on the title plaque of the portrait that we've just read. So on the 10th twilight, the journey ends. You reach the Golden Land. You really are diligent, Maria. You did a good job writing this all down. Ooh, I forget a lot, so I always write things down. Mama told me to. There was a notebook inside the handbag Maria was always carrying around. And Beatrice's epitaph, that's right, that's the word, epitaph? Never heard of it. Was copied onto it. Thanks to that, we were all able to challenge the puzzle of the epitaph while walking down the beach. Jessica and the rest had already tried to solve it several times, and had already gotten bored with it. However, since this was a first for me, I was so excited that I couldn't stop. It really tickled my sense of adventure. Let's start with the first line. Behold the Sweetfish River running through my beloved hometown. Where was grandfather's hometown again? I think we were told this. I heard that before the war, the Ushinomiya family had a mansion near Odawara. Yeah, that's the place. Which makes you want to know which Sweetfish River flows through Odawara, right? Odawara. Yeah, because that river would be the starting place. Anyone searching for the Golden Land would head down that and search for the key. What's this river? What's this river in Odawara? Does it have a sweetfish swimming in it? If you're looking for a sweetfish in Odawara, it'd have to be Hayakawa. It's famous for its mountain stream fishing. Ooh, I hate fish. Hey, Maria, you understand when you get a bit older. 18 is not fishing age. Lick, lick, lick. Salty roasted sweet fish. Okay, he's just talking about eating fish? Does that have to do with age? Yummy, even though we just ate, I'm getting hungry again. Should I bring you a biscuit? Huh? Oh, sorry, that's not what I meant. Don't mind it. Shannon-chan was faithfully keeping us company, since she didn't have any afternoon chores for a while. I would have thought that, since she's a servant, accompanying us would force her to take care of us and tire her out. But that didn't seem to be the case for her. On the contrary, she seemed to enjoy joining on a conversation with people close to her age. When I asked, I heard that she was the sort of worker whose room and board were supplied by her employer. Yeah, it's probably more than that. Who calls themselves furniture? I keep getting hung up on that. So yeah, like I don't even think Kanon and Shannon have a life outside of working here. So of course, room and board is a part of their work package. So normally the only person close to her in age was Jessica. Yeah, I can imagine how that might be pretty dull. Okay, so I get that the sweetfish-filled river in the Odawara is Hayakawa. In that case, we've got to go down it. Do you find anything if you head down Hayakawa River? If you follow it downstream, you'll arrive at the ocean. Of course, you'd reach the mouth of the river. And the third line of the epitaph was, as you travel down it, you'll see a village. By the way, since long ago, the mouths of rivers have been key points in transportation, and large cities tend to be built there. That'd be the next checkpoint. That's a pretty good theory. Just like you guessed, there's an old city there that was very prosperous in ancient times. That's where Odawara Castle is. I think I might have gone to Odawara Castle on a field trip once. Okay, so maybe she has a life outside of working here? It really was a wonderful castle. Yeah, it was I also went there. Even though I live in a Western style house, it's true that Japanese people feel calmer with a Japanese layout. Ooh, castles are boring. Theme parks are best. Okay. Ooh. I see, okay. If we find the gold, the Great Battler Sama will generously reserve a whole theme park for a day and let you play in it. Still, Odawara Castle, huh? The hidden gold of Odawara Castle. Oh? It's actually starting to sound pretty good. Haha, well, we figured out that much 2 years ago. The village down the river where the sweetfish swim in Odawara. We figured it was probably somewhere near Odawara Castle. The problem is the next line. Okay, let's see where Battler's strange reasoning can take him. Jessica grinned broadly. She seemed to be implying that she would have solved the puzzle long ago if it was that easy. Damn it, I'll definitely find it and keep it all for myself. The fourth line. In that village, look for the shore. The two will tell you off. I don't know what it means by the two, but anyway, the shore. What does it mean by the shore? No, wait. Is there any place near there with shore or kishi in its name? I've heard there's a place called Sogakishi in Odawara. Huh, wow, you sure know a lot about it. I wonder if Shannon is just a geography buff or she specifically knows about this one place. What could that mean? Shannon-chan, are you trying to solve the riddle and get the gold too? That makes us rivals. It's not like I'm interested in the gold. It's just that George-sama told me about it before. Okay, so maybe it's just a single piece of knowledge that came from when the other kids talked about the riddle before. That's because we reached the same conclusion 2 years ago. We even went to the trouble of laying out a map and looking it up. It was about 5 kilometers to the north of Odawara. We definitely found a place called Sogakishi there. However, after that we got stuck. The fifth line doesn't say where the key is hidden in that place. Maria-chan, could you read it for us? Ooh, there sleeps the key to the Golden Land. Ooh, I could read it. So no, I don't know what 3rd grade reading level is in Japan and whether a 3rd grader should be able to read that. Sogakishi is probably large, and there wasn't ever any house built there by the Ushinomiya family. Not much we can do to find a key in such a vast area without any hints. You're right. And without a key, we can't advance to the next line. Georgianiki, what kind of place is Sogakishi? Let's see. I've never been there, so I don't really know. But according to the map, it's in the mountains. I'm pretty sure it was at the base of Mount Asama. Something doesn't feel right. You'd expect a riddle pointing the way to hidden gold to be a bit more exact. I get the feeling that even the part about Sogakishi was a mistake. Well, I think it could be Sogakishi. Could be talking about some house that grandfather lived in when he was a kid that we don't know about. After all, the first line mentioning his beloved hometown. Shannon, you've served grandfather alcohol and stuff lots of times, right? Hasn't he ever talked to you about this place? The master almost never speaks of the past. However, he talks of the Great Kanto earthquake as though it was someone else's story. What does that mean? How do you talk of something as if it was someone else's story? So he may have been living far away from the Kanto area. Right, and he did live far away, and that's why he survived it. I mean, that's why he was like the only person left in the family after what went down. The Ushinomiya family may have been living in Odawara, but not all of the branch families were. Grandfather often called himself part of a branch family, the least connected to the successor. And that means the beloved hometown might not even be Odawara at all. I've never heard anything about grandfather's hometown. and I doubt he'd actually tell me if I asked. If the so-called beloved hometown isn't referring to the Oshinomiya family's roots, then the Odawa's theory is wrong from the beginning. Of course, this doesn't completely remove the possibility that it was Sogakishi. For example, perhaps he lived in Odawara when he was very young, but then moved far away later. Oh, I don't understand what you're talking about. Ooh. Maria had been completely left out of the conversation, and she now sat puffing out her cheeks in boredom. So basically, if we can't even agree on the starting point for this dice game of gold, we're totally stuck. But wait, after the first 5 lines, the thing we end up finding is a key, right? Even if you don't have a key, it's always possible to burst through a door. Can't we just skip the first 5 lines and start figuring out the rest? That's an interesting thought. Oh, I hadn't thought of that. Oh well, we're just wasting time anyway. Let's hear the rest of Battler's reasoning. In the next part, it gets dark really fast. Shannon-chan frowned slightly. After looking back at Maria's notebook to recall what was written there, yeah, I was forced to agree. On the first twilight, offer the 6 chosen by the key as sacrifices. It sure does get horrible quickly. On the second twilight, it says to tear apart the 2 who are close. Does that mean to make them break off their loving relationship? Or does it mean to literally tear them apart? I don't know, but either way it's pretty something. Even if we set the second line aside, it mentions 6 people for the first twilight, then 5 people for the 4th through 8th twilights. So at least 11 people must be sacrificed. How many people are in this story? It's 11 plus 7. 18 people. No obvious pattern. I guess it's 12 people who are blood related to the family. And if we exclude Grandpa, it's 11 people. Ooh, there are sacrifices to revive Beatrice. I see, sacrifices to restore the witch. Yeah, that's what it means. Near the end, the witch will be revived on the 9th twilight. The last part is guaranteed. On the 9th twilight, the witch shall revive and none shall be left alive. So everyone will die in the end. And after that, the 10th twilight is the goal line. Not sure how you're supposed to reach the golden land if everyone's dead by then. Depending on how you interpret it, the traveler who holds the key may or may not be included in the none shall be left alive part. But at the end, there's something pretty interesting. After reaching the goal, the revive, right? The witch gives out 4 treasures. One shall be all the gold. Problem is the next one. It says the dead souls will be resurrected, right? Doesn't that sound like it means everyone who died in the earlier lines? If you put it like that, then the part about reviving lost love might refer to the pair torn apart on the 2nd twilight. That's right. And the 4th one refers to the 9th twilight. The 4th treasure is putting the witch revived on the 9th twilight to sleep. If we put a happy spin on all this, it'll be hectic with people dying and breaking up all over the place. It'll all be made right in the end. The awakened witch will sleep again, and everything will be like it was at the start, except with a huge pile of gold. The witch must be pretty busy. Well, with all the killing, reviving, breaking up, and reuniting people. Not to mention waking up and sleeping. Ha ha ha. Sheesh. Just when the tale of the hidden goal was getting interesting, it all gets pretty dubious once the witch starts showing up. Too true. I laughed along with Jessica. After all, the idea of witch was just too ridiculous. Of course, once we start laughing like that, Maria, who believed in the witch, got angry. Ooh, the witch is incredible. She can do anything with magic. Even kill. Even bring back to life. Even give love, even take it. She can fly in the sky, can become invisible, Even make gold and bread out of nothing. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Ugh, dang. My bad, we were just joking. Jessica apologized, sticking out her tongue. But Maria didn't accept it. She grabbed her notebook back out of my hands and, opening to some other page, tried to prove that the witch existed. Those pages had colorful drawings of witches on them, and well conveyed the fantastical image Maria had of witches. It wasn't a normal sinister image of a crooked-nosed hag flying around on a broom, but a dreamlike person with unnatural powers who could do anything and wore a beautiful dress. It was just what you expect from an imaginative young girl. Flitting through the sky, crossing a rainbow, dancing around all night with a teacup and teapot that would never get empty no matter how much you poured out of it. With a flourish of her staff, the stars in the sky will become candy and pour down, and flowers that produce sweets will bud by the roadside. To Maria, witches were the only concept that could embody the magical dream that so captivated her. As she grew older, it was the last remaining thing that could give richness to her dull and plain everyday life. That's why Maria believed in witches. She didn't want that dream of hers to be tarnished. That's why she didn't want anyone to tarnish the epitaph, which affirmed the existence of witches, because the witch named Beatrice is Maria's dream. To Maria-chan, the epitaph isn't a guide to the hidden gold, but magic to revive the witch. That's an interesting thought. Like, she believes the witch exists, but she believes the riddle does the opposite thing that Grandpa believes. Based on my thoughts from the end of last episode, where Grandpa thinks that like his goal is to resurrect the witch, and he also says that if somebody actually finds the golden land in the riddle, he will be defeated. I took that as meaning his goal of reviving the witch will not be achieved if somebody finds the golden land, because by the end of the riddle they put the witch back to sleep, and that in order for his goal to realize, nobody can actually find the golden land. And if nobody does, then there will be some kind of miracle. But maybe that's not it. I wonder if I can scroll all the way back that far. No, I cannot scroll beyond this scene. I remember him talking about something like if nobody solves the riddle, then that'd be it. But I can't remember how, if he meant that. Anyways, maybe I should actually revisit that part of the story, if I even remember where that was. The epitaph isn't a guide to the hidden gold but magic to revive the witch. So it was the single link between Maria and the witch. Maria was very angry and clung to Georgianiki. Jessica and I scratched our heads and apologized. It might not be possible to smooth things over again like the time she got mad in front of the portrait. Maria didn't seem willing to be easily consoled. Unlike Jessica and I, who hung our heads wondering what to do, Shannon-chan timidly opened her mouth. Maria-sama, did you know? There's a ghost story about Beatrice that has been passed down amongst the servants. Who? Ah, yeah, that's right. Shannon, tell us about it. I don't really know, but it's apparently pretty famous among the servants. What's this? A ghost story? Yes, it seems a story from before we were born. I also heard about it from my mother. Yes, it has been passed down since the time of mansion's construction. The servants of that time whispered that the mansion had two masters, one of the day and one of the night. The tale that Shannon told was just like a typical campfire ghost story. If there was a forest with a witch living inside it, then of course the witch would come pay a mansion a visit from time to time. At some point, this ghost story naturally sprouted up between the servants. When people do the rounds a second time to check the doors, windows and locks that were supposedly closed, they'd find some of them left open. Lights that were supposed to be off were turned on, and lights that were supposed to be on went out. Things left lying around would disappear, and things would appear when no one had any memory of putting them there. When any of these things happened, the old servant would say that the witch had visited the mansion invisible and was playing pranks. Ooh, see? She exists. Beatrice exists. Yeah, she exists. Long ago, it was always right before leaving for school that I wasn't able to find my bag and stuff. Maria puffed out her chest with an ooh as though this was final proof of the witch's existence. If I opened my mouth, Maria would probably be hurt again, so I didn't. I mean, you hear this kind of story everywhere. Depending on the place, they might blame it on the dwarf or an elf. The only difference is that they call it a witch on this island. Of course, walking around a vast elegant mansion at night would be a little unsettling. It's an island devoid of people. Since the mansion is so drafty, walking around on the night of a thunderstorm would certainly be eerie. In addition, some servants have also seen will-o'-the-wisps and glittering butterflies dancing around. Kanun-kun also saw something like that when he went patrolling one night, and recently, you often hear servants talking about strange footsteps heard inside a mansion near midnight. Even Kanun? So, I was assuming that some secretive activities were going on in the mansion, and it would have to do with the grandpa, and so like grandpa would know what it really is instead of the witch. But then like Conan seems like a confidant of the grandpa, but even he sees things that cannot be explained based on what he knows. We've whispered together that Beatrice Summer in the portrait sometimes makes herself invisible and walks through the mansion. Well, there's definitely somebody secretly walking around the mansion. Happened a while ago, but even I have heard of footsteps while patrolling at night that resemble these stories. Right. Okay, and this story dates all the way back to the construction of the mansion. Makes me think maybe Grandpa has like a secret prisoner here. And then the secret prisoner disappeared maybe at some point in a very supernatural way. And then Grandpa is like, you must still be around, like I hear you at night at times. Or something like that. Like he believes it's like a child of Omelas or something, that he believes keeping the prisoner here gives him good luck. And maybe things have gone bad since the prisoner disappeared. But for some reason, there's still like traces of some invisible person still living in the mansion. It's interesting. Whew, that's scary. Ah, but there's nothing to be afraid of. Beatrice Summer is another ruler of this mansion, separate from the master, so there's no need to be unnaturally afraid. If you respect her, I hear she won't do anything bad. However, she can be quite terrifying if you don't respect her, right? Correct. I've heard that just before I began working here. Someone who spoke back badly about Beatrice Summer fell down the stairs and quit after receiving a large injury to their back. Because of that, there was a rumor between the servants that Beatrice Summer's anger had been brought down upon this person. Ooh, anger will definitely be brought down on Balor and Jessica. Ooh. I'm sorry, I don't want her anger brought down upon me. I'd apologize, Maria. Of course, I also apologize to the witch. I'm sorry, Beatrice-sama. Please forgive an outsider's nonsense. I'll apologize as well. I'm sorry, Beatrice-sama. Will the witch be able to forgive us now? Ooh, don't know. Witches are fickle, so they forgive when they want to, and don't when they don't. Ooh, that's no good. Maria-chan, isn't there some kind of good luck charm that could prevent Balor-kun and Jessica-chan from suffering Beatrice-sama's wrath? Maybe something that can block against magic. By relying on Maria, who was proud of knowing the most about witches, George was trying to revive her self-esteem. Once again, I've gotta admire his ability to calm kids down. After taking a moment to cross her arms and seriously ponder whether there might be a charm that could save us, she started flipping through the pages in her notebook. I thought it was just a scribbled diary, but there also seems to be quite a few pages that look like they come from a book on black magic. Maria solemnly considered a group of these pages, which contained things that looked like magic circles. Apparently, grandfather wasn't the only one with a black magic hobby. When Maria finally found what she was looking for, she snapped the notebook shut and threw it in her handbag. She then began fishing through the bag's contents. There seemed to be various jumbled up things in there. After a while, she took out various pieces of junk, although they were probably important magical items to Maria, and repeatedly threw them back in, saying they were wrong. Wait a second, just thought of something. Oh, okay, I guess I'm misremembering. I just suddenly thought of Ava asking Natsuki where the sigil, where the family sigil is on her dress, and I thought I recalled Hideyoshi having the sigil on his suit, but I guess I was misremembering. It was all a little humorous, just like when Doraemon took out the wrong tool. Finally, she seemed to discover what she was looking for. With a face that was unimaginably cheery when compared to the intense expression she had worn up until now, she held those out to Jessica and me. Ooh, I grabbed it and saw there was a very cheap-looking charm. It looked like a bracelet made from a plastic rosary. What is a rosary? I've seen that word. Rosary. I see. I've seen that word in Vampire Survivors. Okay. It looked like a bracelet made from plastic rosary with a scorpion-themed metal attached. Scorpion? Haven't you ever seen those cheap Zodiac-themed accessories? The kind you might win in a crane game at an arcade. It really looked like something like that. There were two of them, probably one for me and one for Jessica. However, the very fact that there were two of them made them feel even more like the cheap manufactured goods, making it pretty hard to think of them as magical items. You're giving these to me and Battler? Ooh, with these charms, you don't even need to worry about Beatrice, because scorpions have the power to ward off magic. Huh, really? Didn't know scorpions could do that. Ooh, Battler doesn't believe. Ooh. I said too much and angered Maria again. Maria took out her notebook again, pointing out various pages as she went on and on about how the scorpion has such incredible holy power, that it had been used for magic-repelling magical circles since ancient times. I've heard about that from some of the other young servants, something about how the scorpion is drawn as a magic-repelling symbol in sorcery. Huh, really? Ooh, the scorpion protects against bad magic and calamity. An emerald brings peace to the heart. Therefore, its effects are twofold. Ooh. It's true, the scorpion wraps around the emerald and protects it. Yes, that certainly does sound like it worked well. I really wanted to make fun of those worthless looking charms, dude. But as I watched Maria explaining with all of her heart and realized that she's found them for our sakes, I started to feel like it might actually work, even if it was just a prize from some game center. The material quality of the charm didn't matter. What mattered was the strength of her feelings. Even I don't think of myself as the sort of loser who'd laugh at something like that. Okay, thank you. I apologize to Beatrice-sama, but even if I do end up getting cursed, I'll be safe now thanks to Maria's charm. Right, Jessica? Yeah, that's right. Thanks, Maria. Ooh, wear it on your arm. When you want your heart to be at peace, put it in your wallet, and your money won't decrease. If you hang it from a doorknob, bad things can't get in. It's a really convenient charm. What an incredible effect. If Maria-sama gives it her confident seal of approval, then it surely must be reliable. Shannon-chan clapped her hands together and Maria stuck out her chest. She was totally in a good mood again. It's probably best if we let her lead the conversation a bit longer, if it'll keep her in such a good mood. Come to think of it, she looked a bit bored when we were getting excited about the hidden gold, probably because she couldn't keep up. While eating the cookies Kumasawa-san had baked, Jessica and I asked Maria this and that about black magic. Maria happily chatted away in response to our questions. Each time, George, Aniki, and Shannon-chan would act surprised or chime in. The clouds in the sky grew darker and darker, but we cousins really enjoyed communicating freely after a year of separation. Did I just feel a drop on my forehead? Huh? I wonder. As George Aniki rubbed his forehead, he looked up at the sky. Considering the colors of the sky and the dampness of the air, it would have been odd for a raindrop to hit him. The wind also seemed to have grown a bit stronger. Ooh, I didn't feel a drop. Only I didn't. Ooh. Don't worry, neither did I. Anyway, I'm sure it'll rain so much tonight that everyone will get to feel plenty of raindrops. That's right. Maybe we should head back soon. Shannon-chan looked down at her watch. It was probably well into the evening by now. It's already time for you to return to your work? Yes, thank you very much for allowing me to enjoy some time together with you all. Tell Kumasawa-san thanks for the cookies. Okay everyone, help out with the cleanup. Shannon-chan declined our help, saying that this was a servant's job, but picking up dropped forks before the waitress has to. It's pretty much my purpose in life. This guy. We folded up the blanket, gathered up the trash, and helped clean everything up. Ooh, the trash is getting away. Ooh. I won't let it escape. I'll grab it before Maria does. Ooh, I'll grab it. Ooh. Maria, don't get your shoes wet. You'll get in trouble. Maria, chasing after some trash sent flying by the powerful winds, was just another game. By the time we finished, the wind was blowing pretty strongly. Probably a good time to head back. You've all helped me out a lot. Thank you very much. Looks like you're really out of time. It's okay if you head back first. George Aniki perceived from her hurried appearance that very little of her free time was left. Genji-san's very strict about time. If you don't show up where you're supposed to be at the right time, I bet he'll be pissed. We'll see you later. Do your best with your work. Yes. Then if you excuse me. After making a respectful bow, Shannon-chan ran towards the rose garden. Okay, let's head back to the guest house. We can watch TV or something and relax a little. Ooh, wanna watch a TV? Wanna watch TV? Ooh. Then it's decided. Let's all head back and watch TV together. Maria, who wasn't done having fun, agreed once television was mentioned. We climbed up to the gentle stairs and returned to the rose garden. The wind had grown very strong, and roses shook throughout the garden like ripples on the water. This might be our last chance to see these beautiful roses. I bet tonight's typhoon ruins them. These roses might be done in tonight's winds. You're right. Still, I think the rose were pretty lucky. After all, they got to welcome all of you before the typhoon. All flowers lose their petals eventually, but that means we can admire them even more when they're in bloom. That's right. Maria, burn this image into your eyes. At this moment, they are the best rose of the year. Ooh, burnt into ice. Right then, Maria suddenly clapped her hands. It looked like she remembered something. My rose? The typhoon was sent it flying. Ooh. Oh, you mean that sad-looking rose Georgianiki marked with the ribbon? Maria apparently remembered where the rose was. She ran at full speed. The rest of us followed her. Who? Where was that again? I'm sure it was somewhere around here. We searched everywhere around that area, but it was only a single flower among all these roses after all. Even though we knew it was somewhere close by, we weren't able to find it. Winds making up the typhoon's front lines made the roses throughout the garden undulate. It was almost like it was teasing us by making the location of Maria's rose impossible to find. Maybe it wasn't here. Let's try spreading out a bit in our search. Sounds good. Let's go for strength in numbers. What's up, Maria? As we made to split up and search, Maria tugged on my jacket with an unhappy face. You could tell that she didn't want us to leave that spot. What is it? What's wrong? Ooh, my rose is here. It's here. But it's actually not, right? Maybe it was on the other side of the flower bed. If we all look, we'll find it fast, okay? Ooh, it's here. My rose is here. Look for it. Look for it. Ooh. Maria stomped her feet in irritation. She pointed at the spot and said it was definitely there, but in actuality it wasn't. Even so, Maria got mad when we said we were going to search elsewhere. We're at a loss for what to do. For a while, we had to stay near Maria and pretend to search through their rose thicket. Ooh, not here, not here. Not here, ooh. Maybe she's saying that it should be here, but isn't. Maria became increasingly irritated. Oh man, Maria's really losing her temper. Sometimes Maria starts to really care about really pointless stuff. Obsessive. If she gets what she wants, that's okay, but you can't find something that isn't here. That's not good. Just when we were at a loss for what to do, Maria called out in a loud voice. So even George doesn't know how to calm her down in this scenario. Mama, ooh. You could see Aunt Rosa in the direction Maria was waving her hand. Maybe she wanted to look at the garden one more time before the typhoon came. Or maybe she had some business at the guest house. Aunt Rosa was coming from the mansion. She quickly noticed her daughter's voice and came over. My, what happened, everyone? Are you looking for something? Look for it, Mama. You look for my rose too. Ooh. Your rose? We found an unhealthy rose around here and marked it. We tied a candy wrapper around it. And Maria, if I remember correctly, it was growing right in front and really stood out, didn't it? Unless it grew legs and ran off somewhere. It must have been somewhere else. Maybe you remembered it wrong. Ooh, it is here. It is here. Battler doesn't believe. Ooh. How many times do I have to tell you to stop saying ooh ooh before you understand? Mama will look for it, so stay quiet. I never seen Aunt Rosa be anything other than kind and gentle, so her anger surprised me a bit. Yeah, I'm surprised too. Maria's been saying ooh the whole time, and Aunt Rosa didn't seem too bothered by that, but she is now, and by the sounds of it, she's been trying to get Maria to stop for a while. Aunt Rosa began searching as well, so we went along with her for the time being. We were already more than sure they wasn't around here, so it didn't take long for Aunt Rosa to realize that too. The rose isn't here. Did you mistake this place for somewhere else? There are so many roses around. Ooh, that's wrong. It is here. Mama doesn't believe. Ooh. I already believed you. I looked hard for it, didn't I? But it isn't here. Ooh, but it is here. It's here, but it isn't. Ooh. Damn. Then someone must have ripped it out. Maybe. Anyway, stop saying ooh. Ooh, who ripped out my rose? Who did? Give it back, give it back. Ooh. How should I know? Stop it. Stop saying ooh. Aunt Rosa slapped Maria's left cheek with her palm. In that instant, Maria was shocked into silence. Of course, it was only for an instant. When Maria realized that her wish was being rejected, she started yelling even louder. Ooh, my rose, my rose. Ooh. Didn't I tell you to stop that weird habit? That's why all the kids in your class make fun of you. Damn. Cut it out. Once again, her palm slapped Maria's cheek. I don't know why she's suddenly so bothered by this. Maybe it's just because she just came out of a difficult conversation and is in a comparatively bad mood. It's unfortunate though. This time she didn't go silent. She choked as she started crying and began to bawl in an increasingly loud voice. Aunt Rosa was clearly irritated and lifted her hand once more to try and shut her daughter up. Aunt Rosa, no. She's just a little kid, so there's no reason to get so serious. I tried to cut in with a bitter smile, rubbing my hands together. Aunt Rosa glared at me with a serious face, and I realized that I should have stayed out of this. I'm sorry, but could the rest of you go back to your room for a bit? I need to have a little talk with Maria. Ooh, nobody believes in my rose, even though it's here. Ooh, look for it. Look for it. Here, it was here. Ooh, but it's not here. So you must have confused this place for somewhere else, right? Ooh, it is here. It's definitely here. Ooh. Then it disappeared. Give it up. Why? Why did it disappear? Why? Ooh, I don't know that, so stop saying ooh. Aunt Rosa once again raised her hand, overcome by emotion, and slapped Maria's cheek. It was strong enough to knock Maria over. Hey, Aunt Rosa, even if she's your daughter, violence isn't the answer. I stepped between them to protect Maria, who was still on the ground crying ooh. I knew that as an outsider, problems between parent and child were none of my business, but I wasn't brought up to just silently observe something like this. Don't you think it's weird, Balakun? Are there any girls at your school who mutter ooh? Well, I'm in high school, but for an elementary schooler, I think saying ooh is pretty cute. Cute? Saying ooh is cute? Cute? My careless words seemed to have earned me Aunt Rosa's wrath. She grabbed my collar with a terrifying expression. Don't say such nonsense. Do you know how old Maria is? She's 9. She's 4th grader. Not a kindergartner. But she still makes that sound during class. Don't you get it? Don't you know what they say about this kid when they bully her? Well, thanks to this weird habit, she still hasn't made a single friend. Don't turn your eyes from reality and carelessly call Maria cute. Man, there's so many things going on here. Like, I think an elementary school kid acting that way is perhaps cute too. Or at least the idea that somebody would think that is not an outrageous idea, so her overreaction over somebody could possibly think that is cute is maybe rooted in something, like maybe growing up in this household, kids aren't really allowed being childish, maybe, and so she's like extra against the whole idea. Difficult stuff. Think more seriously about this kid's future. Like, obviously, Maria has some level of autism, right? I think. back in the 80s, people probably in general knew way less about what to do about that, or even what that is. And so, from Rosa's perspective, she would think that Maria like has a choice and is choosing to behave strangely. And she's confused as to why Maria rationally would choose to do so. When it actually is not really about. I don't really know what it's about. Like it maybe has to do with executive dysfunction or something, where you don't really get to choose. Anyways, I told you stop making that sound. Didn't I tell you to stop it? Aunt Rosa struck Maria's quivering head, from which an increasingly unhappy voice was rising. I tried to stop it, but Aunt Rosa pushed me away. My back hit Georgianiki. A long time ago, Aunt Rosa also thought of it as nothing more than one of Maria's baby words. But now that it hasn't been fixed even midway through elementary school, she's been worrying about it a lot. How she talks isn't really that big of a deal, right? She'll never make it as an adult if she's like that. So even though it isn't fun to watch, this is a problem between the parent and the child. Well, what can you do though? I feel like maybe you just have like your kid happens to be lower functioning autistic. Like I get trying to help them like develop some of the weaker suits so they have a better chance at maybe living independently when they're older. But like there's a limit to that, right? After a certain point, you also just need to be ready that you need to some level take care of the kid for their life maybe. And that's obviously a difficult thought to have. Yeah, I don't know what to do. Well, even I get chewed out by mom all the time because of how I talk. When they put it that way, maybe even a scene as painful as this isn't something an outsider like me should butt in on. Butler-kun, when you were a kid, didn't you have any bad habits that you couldn't fix that got you into trouble? Well, one or two. On Parents' Day once, I kept getting yelled at in front of everyone, and it was embarrassing as all hell. Well then, you can understand how the two of them must feel right now. I'm sure they don't want us to be here now. You understand too, don't you, Jessica-chan? I don't think anyone likes to be seen when they're being scolded. Let's go, we'll return to the guest house. Then after Maria-chan comes back, let's welcome her as if nothing happened. Is that good though? That's probably for the best, isn't it? We thought Georgianiki's point was probably a reasonable one, and we may have been eager to use that reasonable sounding argument as a justification to retreat from this heart-rending scene. Jessica and I nodded at Georgianiki and we all left. We called towards Maria, telling her that we were going to head to the guest house, but she didn't seem to hear, and we felt sort of guilty and shameless after saying it. In that case, look by yourself as much as you want. Mama doesn't care. Ooh, I'll look for it. I'll look for it by myself, even if Mama doesn't care. Please don't leave her outside on her own. Have it your way. After blasting her with those last few words, Rosa spun on her heels and quickly returned to the mansion. Well then, now that Aunt Rosa's gone, you guys don't have to leave anymore, do you? Maria probably viewed that as a cold gesture meant to injure. But that wasn't Rosa's intention. It's pretty hard to understand your intention in that scenario. was because the hand with which she had so emotionally struck Maria's cheek was still numb. It was because if she stayed there screaming, she might have again be taken over by her emotion and continue slapping her daughter's cheek over and over. After Rosa left, Maria was left alone in a rose garden. The wind began to blow stronger and stronger, and every once in a while a raindrop would fall on her forehead. However, Maria couldn't leave that place. Not until she found that poor wilting rose. Okay, I don't know how major of a mystery this is, the disappearing rose. Like, it could just be, you know, when Gora made the dessert, he needed to collect some rose petal for it. Maybe he saw the wilting rose and decided to remove it. I think he was present when they put the candy wrapper on the rose too. So normally, if you know that it's the special rose from Maria, you wouldn't just pull it out of the soil. But then Goda is not like a very nice guy anyway, so maybe he did that on purpose. So like, I don't know how big of a mystery this is. Like, am I supposed to take it very seriously, or... Because there are like 100 different reasons why they could have not found the rose. It could really be the case that Maria was misremembering where the rose was. Even though if that's the case, then that doesn't make a very interesting story beat. It would be kind of annoying if that turned out to be true. Yeah, like some other servant who doesn't know maybe was doing some upkeeping of the rose garden in the afternoon and decided to remove the wilting rose. I don't know. I'd definitely been there. Even so, it wasn't. Even though she knew the place and even though it had been there, it wasn't. Maria bitterly stared at the place it was supposed to be and thought frantically. Or maybe this story beat is supposed to help us understand Maria in some way. Like, she has this obsessive tendency. And she maybe has trouble with control, like things happen that she cannot understand, feels unbearable to her, and maybe that'll come into play later. I still remember in the opening song there's like one shot where it's Maria with a bunch of blood on her face. I don't know when that would happen or why. Maybe the angle I'm looking from is wrong. Maybe the height I'm looking from is wrong. While gazing at a single point, Maria repeatedly stood up, changed her position, and continued to stare. The wind was getting stronger and stronger, but Maria kept on looking for that rose in front of her rosebed. Again, we're not saying all of this from Battler's perspective anymore. It's some kind of omniscient observer, but sometimes it doesn't sound so omniscient either. I forget whether I brought this up already. I think this is intentional. Like, it has to do with some specific formatting choices that the game is making. For example, in these visual novels, even though I'm not a visual novel player, from what I've seen, usually how the texts are displayed on the screen is you would have in the like bottom half of the screen a dialogue box with like a name tag indicating who's saying the stuff in the dialogue box. But this game, you just have words appear, and sometimes I would like I would misjudge who the words belong to for a bit. And so I think maybe this is like a mechanical choice that words just come out on screen and we're not told who's saying this. Maybe we're the like quote unquote omniscient observer perspective is actually the like invisible prisoner of the mansion who's like a ghost that wanders around the scenes and makes observations and commentary. Kinzo noticed the sound of the raindrops beating on the window. It seemed to be pouring down thickly. It had begun to rain later than the weather report had predicted. Kinzo approached the window as if being summoned by the sounds of the rain. The sound of rain is a sound of silence. The sound feels quieter than any silence, and it makes humans remember that in the end, they're alone from the moment they're born to the moment they die. You're late, Beatrice. Were those words directed at the rainy sky? There was no one to be seen in the direction of Kinzo's gaze. What the fuck? Does he see Maria in the rose garden? What is he seeing? Well then, let us begin. Let us begin our banquet of miracles. This island has now been cut off from the world. Now there are none who can interrupt my ceremony. Okay. There are many fitting sacrifices for you. 4 of my children, 3 of their companions, 4 of my grandchildren, that is 11. Me and my guests, and my servants, okay. Who is his guest? Does it include his children and grandchildren, or is he just talking about Dr. Nanjo? You may devour as many as you please. The key of fate will select the sacrifices in accordance with the demon's roulette. If the roulette chooses me, even I will become your sacrifice. However, because of that, because I will bet on such matters, I will most assuredly bring forth a grand miracle. Come, devour your heart's content, devour to your heart's content. I will achieve victory over that roulette. What is he hoping? Okay, so he set this stage, and by the sounds of it, he's not going to actively do anything. He just believes that some agent will start doing things. I don't know what that would be. Yes, I'll put everything on the line. First, I'll return the inheritance of the Ushlomiya family. Accept it. Kinzo tore the window open, ripped a golden ring off his finger, and forcefully threw it away. Huh? At that time, the sound of thunder rang out, giving the illusion that the lightning had accepted the ring. And, when you're resurrected, surely I'll be the one who stands witness. I will survive until the end and watch over you as you awaken. So come, Beatrice, welcome to my banquet. In exchange for all that I have created, show me another miracle, just this once. So he's seeing one miracle before. Oh, Beatrice. Okay, and that's where the chapter cuts off. We've come to 6 p.m. What the fuck? Starting to feel like there has to be some level of supernatural element to this story. But Okay, let's read the epitaph again. Behold the sweet fish river running through my beloved hometown. You who seek the golden land, follow its path downstream in search of the key. As you travel down it, you'll see a village. In that village, look for the shore the two will tell you of. Who are the two? There sleeps the key to the golden land. The one who obtains the key must then travel to the golden land in accordance with these rules. There are 10 knights. Offer the 6 chosen by the key as sacrifices. So the key will choose 6. On the second twilight, those who remain shall tear apart the 2 who are close. The 2 and the 2? On the third twilight, those who remain shall praise my noble name. What is your name? Who is this? Who is talking? On the fourth twilight, gouge the head and kill, gouge the chest and kill, gouge the stomach, gouge the knee, gouge the leg. Head, chest, stomach, knee, leg. Ninth twilight, the witch shall revive, and none shall be left alive. Okay, so George was saying previously 6 are chosen on the first twilight, and then 5 are killed between 4th and 8th night. So that could be a total of 11 deaths. And the witch revives, none shall be left alive. 10th twilight, at journey's end you shall attain to the power of the golden land's treasure, once and for last time. The witch shall praise the wise and bestow 4 treasures. All the gold, resurrection of dead souls, resurrection of love that was lost. Put the witch to sleep for all time. Okay, judging by this person calling Beatrice their beloved witch, it would sound like this is talking from Kinzo's perspective. But it's such a weird thing to say, those who remain shall praise my noble name, if you're Kinzo. Because it sounds like a thing that some supernatural entity would say instead. What if Beatrice and the witch are 2 different entities? Because then the last line can be understood as "Sleep peacefully, my beloved witch" by Beatrice. I don't know if that makes any more sense. Yeah. I don't know. But hopefully we'll know at some point. And I'll continue tomorrow. See ya.